Chapter 1, The New Beginning. Approximately a year later in Hong Kong. Just a little further. Dodge with the ball. Kick into the goal. Goal in! Everybody cheered. Syaoran wiped the sweat off his forehead and nodded to his teammates who shouted, "Good job, Syaoran!" His endless practice to be docile and quick in strategy was not wasted in soccer. Still, during his spare time, Syaoran practiced with his sword, compass, and developed new magic skills. He studied an ancient book in many languages and learned the history behind magic and fighting. His skills definitely grew stronger and more advanced. He had to practice because he knew there would be yet another trial awaiting him. The night before he left Japan, he had a dream, a prophet. Silhouetted by a full moon, a boy and a girl his own age stood before him on a cliff. With menacing, smooth voice, the boy said, "We'll get you, little wolf. You and that pretty cherry blossom." "What do you mean?" "Wait and see." Suddenly, Syaoran was pushed off the cliff, falling and falling. He caught a glimpse of someone with emerald eyes shouting, "No, Syaoran! Don't leave me!" He bolted up in his bed, sweating heavily. He vowed that he would come back someday. When the time came. "Earth to it, Syaoran! Your teammates are over there, on the other side of the field," said one of his friends on the other team. Emerging from his daydreams, he ran across the field. What am I doing on this team? Oh well, he's going to take all opportunities in Hong Kong to be all the help he could in Japan. A group of chattering girls in the corner watched him with admiration. Ooh, isn't Syaoran so cool? I know, he's so cute. He's the best looking guy in the whole 7th grade. Yeah, and he's good at everything. PE, schoolwork, music, and even art. Right? Did you see that beautiful painting he did? Our art teacher was so proud of it. I think the girl in the painting kind of looked like me. Are you stupid? You have brown eyes and that girl in the painting had green. Well, I think the girl smiled like me. No, you know what I think? I think the girl is from the girl that he likes. And it's definitely not someone in Hong Kong. No one looks like her. The smile, the eyes, the grace. Maybe it's his girlfriend in Japan. Didn't he have a girlfriend for a few years? Yeah, I bet he was nice to her. You know, he's kind of distant and has a cool manner to everyone, even to Mei Lin. And he's so curt to all the girls here. Oh, but he's still cute, even when he glares. All the girls giggled. Syaoran scowled. He could tell that these silly girls were talking about him, and he overheard some of the remarks. That painting. He really didn't mean to draw it. But then the art teacher said to draw something that captured beauty. His mind seemed taken over when he finished, and he found that he had drawn a girl with sparkling emerald eyes, a serene smile, and light brown hair tinted with gold. She was surrounded by cherry blossom petals, looking like an angel. Syaoran sighed. At first he didn't realize that it looked like her because of the long hair and less Genki atmosphere, yet he realized he had painted Sakura. "Watch out, Syaoran!" Bang! Syaoran sprawled on the ground, being hit in the soccer ball on the head. His friend came up to him and said, "You know, even if you are the best at soccer, your mind wanders quite often. I would like to know what you think about." Glaring at his friend, Syaoran cursed himself for his stupidity. That was the first time he ever got hit by a soccer ball like an idiot. Plus, it was while he was thinking of her again. In Japan. "Kiro-chan, stop playing video games. Aren't you sick of it?" "Not yet," Kiro mumbled through a mouthful of chocolate. Sakura sighed as she brushed out her light brown hair, which came down her back. She'd been growing it for some time now. "Which ribbon should I use? Pink, red, blue, or yellow? How about green?" Someone was associated with green. She pushed the pretty green ribbon aside and chose the yellow one, tying half of her hair into a bow. Looking into the mirror, she tilted her head and tried to smile. It looked fake. Why can't I smile anymore? Then she ran downstairs and ate her breakfast. "Good morning, Noni-chan." Toya nodded in response. He didn't bother to call her Kaiju. His little sister had changed. Most people would not have noticed it, but he, her brother, did. Putting on her rollerblades, Sakura started off to school. Funny, but she no longer waited around for Yukito-san. She still liked him, in a way, yet she had realized that her feelings for him were pretense. Yukito no longer had the power to change to Yue-san, which was for the better. There was no need for a Sakura card mistress, except to look out for the cards. Yue would awake once more when he would be needed, yet it seemed like the old card captor days were long over. "Good morning, Sakura. Did you hear about the new students? They're twins," Tameo greeted as she entered the classroom. "Really, Tameo?" As the students sat down, the teacher announced, "Everyone, there are new students in our 7th grade class. Greet Syaoran and Arika Chain, who are twins." Sakura stared at the boy and girl in front of the room. Their eyes were hazel with golden hues in them. "Something about them makes me nervous." Syaoran's dark purple hair was long and tied back into a short ponytail. It was a much darker color than Tameo's. Strange, but romantic. Arika had the same purplish hair with a hint of reddish color, which waved onto her shoulders. Grudgingly, Sakura had to admit that she was pretty, but not in a way that she liked. Strangely, they seemed familiar, as if I've seen them before. Where? Suddenly, her gaze was caught by Syaoran, and he flashed a smile. She felt a bit like shuddering because it reminded her of the first day Iro had come to school and smiled at her with his bland, innocent smile. However, Syaoran's smile was brimming with charm and a sense of power that made her stomach lurch. Very charming and good-looking, and he knows it. Arika had her brilliant eyes upon her as well, and Sakura felt uneasy and borne down. For some reason, all transfer students seemed to have something against her on their first days. First, Syaoran, glaring at her, though he was a great help to her later on. Then Melanie, his cousin, competed against her in everything. She got friendly with her later on, but still. Then Iro captivated her with his gaze and smile. Now, Syaoran and Arika had something for her. Why do I always stand out to new transfer students? Is there anything wrong with me, or do they all have something against my existence? During lunch, Tameo and Sakura sat on a bench outside. A sudden draft of wind blew, and Sakura's hat flew off. Immediately, Syaoran came from behind and picked it up for her. Thank you. You're very kind," she stammered. "No, it is my pleasure. Please call me Syaoran. What is your name?" "Sakura. Sakura Kinomoto." "Sakura." Syaoran was lost in deep thought, and his eyebrows twitched together. "I was right. It is her. I can feel the aura." "Why? Is anything the matter, Syaoran-kun?" "Oh, no, Sakura. You're as beautiful as the flower you were named after." Sakura blushed, surprisingly. Syaoran was so like Iro, but so different. Yet one thing similar is that I can't help falling under his charm. Another mysterious smile drew over Syaoran's face, and he walked away, with his ponytail switching behind him. He chuckled to himself as his mind began to foil a plan. Hong Kong. "We are here now, little wolf. The flower is in our hands. What fun it would be to break her. And you're not even here to help her. Our plan is ready to begin. No one will be able to defeat us. No one. We are the strongest. We have origins deeper than you understand, too, smart one. We will win." Syaoran woke up, perspiring and breathing heavily. It was the dream of the evil girl and the boy. God help Sakura. There was danger. He must return to Japan. Leaping out of bed, he drew out a suitcase and a trunk and started to pack. On top of his trunk, he laid a green Chinese fighting robe and placed a sword sheathed and wrapped with cloth. Scribbling a note of explanation and apology to his mother, he placed it on her bedside. Quickly, he kissed his mother's cheek, mentally saying goodbye. He dragged his luggage to the front door and was about to go when he realized that he was in his pajamas. Cursing himself for his stupidity, he ran back and changed into jeans and a shirt, pulling a green sweater over it. I must think calmly over all my plans. Syaoran then took out his bank account and stashed it into his jean pockets, besides the Japan apartment key. With a moment of hesitation, he ran into his mother's room again and rummaged through her wallet in the darkness. Triumphantly, he drew out her credit card and scribbled another apology on his note. Then he dashed to the house with his belongings, out of the house with his belongings, and caught a taxi, driving off to the Hong Kong Airlines in the middle of a starless night. Syaoran's mother, Yi Lin, woke up early before dawn. Her powers told her something was not right. She caught sight of the note on her bedstand, with Syaoran scribbling, and as she read it, she commented to herself, "Dearest mother, then why does he hurt me so? I apologize for running off without warning, but it was an emergency. Always in a hurry. He could have at least waited till morning. There's some kind of great danger, and I must go back to Japan. To help the Kinomoto girl. He must really care a great deal for her. I know that I would have to go back when I came to Hong Kong, and now is the time. The time has come. So he was not planning to stay in the first place. I really did not mean to run off like this. However, it turned out this way. Always flippant. He must get that from his father, not me. I'm sorry my stay was short. He should be. It's been less than a year. Don't worry, for I'll come to visit often when the danger is over. Big chance. Yet, what does he mean by visit Hong Kong? Hong Kong's his home. He should go visit Japan, not the other way around. Is this really his home? You can contact me in my old Japan address, and if you're worried, you can send Wei. Of course, I will send trustworthy Wei. How can I ever trust him all on his own? Even though he's so independent. If you do, please let him bring the rest of my belongings in the box of my father's old books. Just like him to be so organized at such a hurried moment. Give my love to my sisters. They'll miss their little brother. Oh, yes. And tell Melanie not to follow me to Japan again. Melanie must frighten him a lot to make him say that of all things. I'm sure she'll listen to you. And also, I don't want to put her in danger. Yes, Syaoran is gentle underneath his outer surface. Actually, don't even tell her where I went. I'm not so sure, my son. Anyway, love you. Then why did you go? Don't worry. How can I not worry for my only son? I'll be fine as always. Yes, Syaoran is always strong. Lee, Syaoran. P.S. I hope you don't mind that I took your credit card. I do mind. I needed it for the airline flare. Bad boy. You should ask, not steal. You're rich anyway, so it won't matter. Oh, so it doesn't. P.P.S. I also appreciate it if you would deposit more money into my bank account. Well, I have no choice, do I? Maybe I should drag him home myself. But that would be cruel. Besides, I should let my son be independent and responsible. He's not a baby anymore. Out of all the Lee clan, he is the bestowed with the most skills and talent. Let him do what he decides, whether he wants to or not. I knew that he had changed when he came back from Japan a year ago. He's just like his father, my dear husband. Oh, I do wish you were alive. I don't know how to handle this boy. Syaoran stared out of the airplane window. Down at the dark, cloudy sky, he could see the dim horizon outlined with red. The roaring of the airplane gave him a headache as he tried to think logically. God, what am I doing? Why am I going back? It's been hardly a year. I'm an idiot. I have no reason to go back to Japan. Ugh. But I do. The evil stirring around frightens me. If the cloud cards hadn't been captured, destruction would have occurred. What kind of destruction is in store now? Those people in my dreams said they'll get me, and the cherry blossom. Sakura. Why? How will I help her anyway? Oh, I'm a fool. Angrily, he punched at the front seat. An old lady turned around annoyed. I'm so sorry. I forgot where I was. Oh, stupid, stupid, stupid. He closed his bright amber eyes for a moment. Get up. You aren't going to accomplish anything if you give up like that. Here, I'll distract the card and you concentrate on returning it to its true form. Thank you for saving me, Lee-kun. Don't thank me now. Catch the card first. So many memories related to her. Syaoran opened his eyes. That was why he wanted to go back to Japan. He would protect her, no matter what it cost. I will always be there for her. Then suddenly an image flashed through him. Hoi! Yukito-san! She rollerbladed up to Yukito and smiled. I bet she still wants Yukito. Fine. She's welcome to have him. Do I care? He frowned as if a barrier in his mind opened. Iro was smiling at Sakura. No, it was not Iro. He had purple hair pulled back and a charming smile. Of course he must like her, and he's good looking. Better than me. The boy looked up as if he saw him. Syaoran gasped. Where had he seen those golden eyes before? The scene blurred. Syaoran had been too preoccupied with the dashing boy to notice the striking girl standing beside him. Fine. Sakura can do whatever she wants to. Who said that I'll be nice to her? He certainly had experience in being mean. I won't make a fool of myself. Japan. Sakura and Tomeo were walking home after school. Sakura was fingering her hair and frowning. Tomeo asked, "Is there anything wrong? You seem thoughtful." Syaoran is in Japan. What? Lee Syaoran. I can feel him. He's here. He must be on your mind a lot. There's no reason why he'd be here. He's in Hong Kong, far away. You must be imagining things. No, I'm not. You know I can always sense him. Tomeo remained silent. It was true that Sakura always knew when Syaoran was around during the card captor times. She had so much fun planning the wardrobe and videotaping Sakura and Syaoran, videotaping the whole gang. Oh, she missed it so much. There was nothing interesting these days. Suddenly she saw that Sakura had bumped into someone. It was Eran Chang. Tomeo couldn't decide whether she liked him or not, yet he was very good looking and looked very photogenic. Plus, he seemed so romantic. Perfect as the charming protagonist. Then she glanced at the mysterious gold eyes, or the charming villain. He was helping Sakura up with the greatest concern. "Oh, I'm so sorry, Sakura. I'm so clumsy. Here, are you hurt?" "I'm fine, really. I should have looked where I was going." Sakura looked up and could see that Eran was gazing at her. She blushed, for it was uncomfortable to have such eyes bearing down upon her. He was still holding her. She moved back a little and he let her go. Eran immediately picked up her scattered books. His manner certainly was flawless. Tomeo stood at the side, videotaping the incident. There was nothing better to videotape anyway. It was kind of interesting and sweet. Cancel that. Sweet was not a word matching Eran. The way he called Sakura's name gave her a slight shiver. Sweet, describe... Syaoran and Sakura. Oh, I must watch my videos of the card captor days again. It's been months since I've last seen them. But not today. Sakura's coming over. Syaoran opened the door of his apartment house and stepped in. He coughed. Man, it was dusty in here. He hated untidiness. First, he dragged his luggage into his room. Looking out the window, he half smiled. The leaves were turning colors again. Should I clean the house first, unpack, or get the groceries? Sneezing, he decided to clean first. He drew out the rags and broom in a bucket full of water and soap. Then he chanted a few runes and left the things to clean up the house. Too bad I don't have a spell for unpacking. He opened up his trunk and took out a sword, plopping it on the wall. Sitting on the floor as he fingered a dent. It was from that time he slammed the sword into the floor when he was mad. Ugh, I better fix it up. Wei will say something when he comes. Syaoran felt his stomach rumble. Should I get groceries first? Another rumble echoed the first. Definitely. Grabbing his keys and some cash, he started to go out. Suddenly, he stopped mid-track. Slowing his breathing, he concentrated. He could feel some sort of wild power from somewhere. Danger! He seized his sword and ran out of his apartment. What do you think of Eran-kun? Tomeo-chan? Can you repeat your question? Sakura had other things on her mind. What do you think of Eran? Sakura closed her eyes and tried to concentrate. Oh, God. She was so out of practice. Sitting in Tomeo's room, cross-legged, she took another deep breath and felt the aura deep inside her. She remembered Kiro-chan and Syaoran always telling her to concentrate and feel for the power. Then she hit upon something. There was some strange strength. It was kind of like the escaped cloud cards, but different. The feeling was so chaotic. Tomeo, there's something wrong out there. I have to go see what it is. What do you mean? It's kind of like an escaped cloud card, but different. Well, whatever it is, I'll go with you and see what it is. Sakura dashed out and Tomeo followed, first grabbing her video camera. She never knew when she might need it. So where is it, Sakura? Tomeo asked. I think it's in King Penguin Park. They ran towards the park. When they got there, Tomeo retreated to the corner, since she was used to staying out of the way. Sakura stood there in defense position, with her green eyes flashing around. Wait. Don't try and see it. Feel for the power. She was alert. Suddenly, a whipping force slashed at her side. Skillfully, she dodged. The image cleared for Sakura, and she could see a spirit with 2 long knives held in attacking position. Then it started to slash at her on both sides. Sakura continued to jump back to avoid being cut into shreds. Oh, it moves so fast. I can't do anything, but I must, or it'll kill me. Kill me. Quickly, she drew out the chain with her card captor key under her shirt. Luckily, she still wore it. Then she chanted the spell long and said, "The key that hides the forces of the stars. Show your true shape to me. I, Sakura, command you under the contract. Release!" The key grew into the pink staff, so accustomed to fit her hand. Ugh, damn it. She did not have the cards with her. She was powerless. With her staff, she tried to block the fierce blows of the spirit. Yet she was losing speed and strength. There was nothing she could do. The speed of it seemed to increase even more and struck down upon her twice the force. And when she stumbled, the spirit sliced at her head. She tried to raise her hand to protect herself, and it slightly slit her hand and cut the ribbon off of her hair. Sakura fell on the gravel floor with her light brown hair tumbling around her face. The blood gushed onto her palm. She clenched her eyes to feel the final, deathly blow. "Stop, spirit of dark forces! Face someone who can fight back!" Sakura unclenched her eyes to hear a vaguely familiar voice. She was not dead. That someone ran up to her and helped her up. Yes, it was him. She buried her face into his green sweater, half weeping with a sense of relief. "Get up now! We have to fight this thing, and being weak won't help," Syaoran said gruffly, embarrassed by the affectionate way Sakura was leaning against him. Guided by his compass, he had hurried to King Penguin Park. He saw the spirit holding the 2 knives attacking a girl. At first, he did not recognize Sakura, since her hair had grown out a lot since she last saw him, and her face was turned. Then he noticed Tomeo taping the scene in the corner and realized that it was Sakura. He thought he would have a heart attack when the spirit slashed at Sakura's head and hand. At least she was not killed. Syaoran then drew out his sword, standing in front of Sakura to protect her. Tomeo sighed in relief. Syaoran would make things all right. The spirit saw a new foe and started to attack with new venom. Syaoran deftly blocked with the drills he had practiced dawn and night. Sakura watched him with a sense of admiration. He was so strong and brave. Unlike me, I'm so weak. He should have been the Cloud Card Master, not me. Syaoran continued to fight off the spirit. It was very consistent. Well, I'm not going to get beaten by this thing. With new strength, Syaoran slashed at the spirit, and when he saw an opening, he thrust his sword in with all his might. Cleanly, he pinned it down. "Quickly, Sakura! Turn it into a card." A card? But that's not a cloud card. It's just a thing. It doesn't matter. You're the card mistress. You have the power to make new cards as well. We have to do something with this thing to prevent it from running around, and the most efficient way is to turn it into a card. It's out of control. Go on. But I don't know the spell. Make up a spell. You have magic powers. Let it flow out of you. You are strong and powerful. You are the Sakura card mistress. It is your duty. Sakura took a deep breath. Whatever it was, she'd give it a try. "Spirit of the dark forces, I, Sakura, command you. Return to new shape of contract. Sakura card!" The spirit dissolved under Syaoran's knife and gathered into the tip of Sakura's staff, forming a new card. It wavered and then drifted over to Syaoran, who took a hold of it and stared at it. Sakura's knees collapsed and she fell to the ground. Syaoran walked over to her and kneeled down. "Before we say another word about the strange event, let me have a look at your hand. You heard it when that thing slashed at you." Syaoran took the hand that had been slit by the spirit. He frowned at the blood oozing out. Sakura winced in pain when he examined it. It'll hurt for a few days, but it'll be fine after I take care of it." Chanting in Chinese over the wound, Syaoran cast a healing spell. Sakura could feel warmth creeping through the limp hand. Or was it because he was holding it? Syaoran then looked around for a bandage, and finding none, he ripped off a piece of his shirt he was wearing underneath his sweater. Then gently he tied it tightly around her hand. Sakura said, "You didn't have to rip your shirt. I could have bandaged it when I got home, but thank you. You're very kind. My hand feels better already." There was a moment of silence as they sat there. A gust of autumn wind blew around colorful leaves, and Sakura's glossy hair whipped around. She tilted her head and smiled her sweet smile at him. Syaoran could feel the familiar blush creeping up his face. She looked exactly like the painting he drew, perfect to the melting smile and sparkling emerald eyes. It was just the autumn leaves replaced the cherry blossom petals, and it was dusky. Why doesn't she get up? Then he realized that he was still holding her hand. Quickly, he dropped the warmth, as if it was coal, and got up, clearing his throat. You can have this card. I have no use for cards anymore, he said, handing over the new card. It's okay. You earned it. But the whole thing is confusing. I don't understand what is happening. Neither do I. Syaoran read the letters on the card. The knife. Wow. I can't believe I made a brand new card. I never knew I could do that. And thank you for saving me today. I would be dead by now if you did not save me. How did you know? I have my own ways. Plus the compass guided me. I thought it could only find cloud cards. I practiced and extended its powers. But that's not important now. We have to find out the source of this power. Do you mean someone intentionally sent the knife? Yes. We have a new enemy out there. Sakura shuddered at those words. Someone out there wanted to hurt her and cause destruction. There was a new evil brewing around. The card captor was needed again, and with all the help from her friends. Tomeo continued to tape in the corner, and slowly she walked over. She smiled blissfully. That was more like it. Despite the danger and chaos, she hadn't had this much fun since the last episode of Card Captor Sakura she videotaped. Wow, Sakura was right. Syaoran was back. A thrill went up her spine. Well, despite all, maybe things weren't so hopeless. Maybe this was the start of another adventure she could videotape and plan costumes out for. Sakura pondered as she sorted through all the facts. This was so confusing. She'd made a new card, though it went to Syaoran. That was the way with the cloud cards. It went to the person who conquered it. She had made a new spell. Now she was starting to realize the powers of the Sakura card mistress. If she had to face more danger all on her own, she might be more scared. But with the help of her friends, she knew she could face anything. Syaoran stared into the card he was holding. This was the first trial. There would be more hardships and dangers awaiting them. Many truths and facts remained untold, and he would need to unravel the story behind them. We have deeper origins than you could understand, too, smart one. Whatever it meant, it did not mean well for him, or Sakura. It was time to start working again, working hard to face all the dangers, and to protect Sakura. Suddenly his stomach rumbled loudly. His ears turned red. Tomeo came up from behind and said, Are you hungry, Lee-kun? I guess. I hadn't eaten anything since early last night. I didn't have anything on the airplane. I was just about to go to the grocery when I felt the power here. What brought you here so suddenly? Sakura asked. What brings me here? That's none of your business. Tomeo asked, Did you come here all on your own? Wei's going to come in a week or so. Well, I'm going now. We can talk about this next time. Syaoran turned around abruptly. There's no reason why I should be nice to her. As he went, Sakura called, Are you coming to school tomorrow? Maybe. As Sakura and Tomeo and Syaoran each headed their own direction home, they each thought, This is a new beginning. How come we failed? Arika snapped. Patience, my sister, patience. The knife was sent as a trial to test the flower's skill. Who knew she could turn it into a card? Pretty impressive. She has more powers than we estimated. We shouldn't look down at her. But we are stronger. We still have more elementals to send out at her. So many more powerful ones. What fun it will be to break her. The little wolf has arrived also. He makes things a little more complicated, but I was looking forward to meeting him. Life's getting more interesting already. Yes, it is just the beginning. Eran and Arika-chan broke out laughing.